All right, this is day 3 of reading the Quran. I did not expect all this support from everybody. I really appreciate everybody's open-mindedness and willingness to help me along my journey, you could say. A few questions I just want to get to from the last video. One thing that people talked about was that Abraham, Jesus, and Moses, people said that they were all Muslims. I kind of countered that saying that they were practicing Judaism. I thought that they were all practicing Judaism. So I still don't know if they could be like Muslim and Jewish, like in the religious way, at the same time. So maybe a clarification on that still, because I'm pretty sure that they were practicing Judaism, if I'm not wrong. Maybe just Jesus, I'm not too sure. And then another question that got answered for me was regarding like marrying non-Muslim women. It said that you can't marry a non-believer, but that just referred to like outside of the monotheistic religions. So a Muslim man would be able to marry a Muslim, Jewish, or Christian woman, and I got that clarified for me in the last video. I also had like a bit of a dispute about Sunni versus the Shia. I think it's just like Christian versus Baptist versus Protestant. It's just like that sort of stupid debate. But there are like people in my comments like arguing about that. But I don't think it matters too much about like my goals and everything. But yeah, I'm gonna get reading on. I'm almost on chapter 3. I'm gonna start reading at section 36 from chapter 2 and then read on, and I'll let you know how it goes. Alright, just finished reading chapter 2, section 36 until chapter 3, section 17. Definitely a lot more boring than the first parts of the book I've read. I guess let me start off in section 38, chapter 2. It says, Allah will deprive usury of all blessing, but will give increase for deeds of charity. He loveth not creatures ungrateful and wicked. Those who believe and do deeds righteousness and establish regular prayers and regular charity will have their reward with the Lord. On them shall be no fear, nor shall they grieve. I thought it was pretty cool, like saying that they should be charitable and like they'll have a greater reward. Definitely like positive incentives there. And then in Al Imran, this chapter, I feel like it's mostly just some more fear mongering. And I know like people have said, yeah, it's like not like the bad type of fear that you should be scared of it, but it should encourage you to like, be a better person, to like follow it, and to fear Allah, to not have the bad consequences. But there's so much of it, and just like for every 20 times where it says you should fear God, or like the non-believers will suffer these consequences, there's maybe like one time where they actually provide a sign, which like they're wanting you to find. I think so far it's only mentioned like 3 signs like explicitly. One was like the fight with David and Goliath. Like that doesn't seem like too much of a sign, just like a biblical Torah story maybe. I don't know if it's one of the Torah or the Gospels, but like one of like the scripture story of like 2 dudes fighting and like it was upset, and they're probably over exaggerating how tall Goliath was, if that story really did happen. I'm not sure if it did. And then another one it was talking about in section 2, chapter 3, there has already been for you a sign in the 2 armies that met in combat. One was fighting for the cause of Allah, and the other resisting Allah. These saw with their own eyes twice their number, but Allah does not support with his aid whom he pleaseth. And this is a warning for such as have eyes to see. Just like another like story of like one of these battles. I don't know what it's referring to here. It didn't explicitly say. I feel like that's not too much of a sign. I mean, you'll see like in documented history that wasn't supernatural events. So looking at ancient China, you'll see like an army of 50,000 taking out an army of like 300,000. Like these aren't uncommon in history. A lot of it has to do with disease and different factors, supply and food. I would not say it's a sign of Allah, just based off of that. So I disagree with Allah on this one. But really, just give some more signs in this, dude. Like, why are there not enough signs for every time you're saying, oh, those who do not see these signs? It's like, you're not giving any. Allah, you're not giving enough of these signs. So maybe I'm not far enough in the book, and this is just a preamble to the signs that will come and like the evidence that he will lay out, but we'll see. And to bring it up one more time, in chapter 3, section 7, it says, Abraham was not a Jew nor yet a Christian, but he was a true in faith and bowed his will to Allah's, which is Islam, and he joined not God's with Allah. So I could have just kept reading and I would have saw that, but thanks for answering my question in the last video anyway. But yeah, that does clear it up, kind of Islam's point of view on what these prophets devoted to ish, kind of. Maybe another possible sign that I could find was in section 13, chapter 3, and it said, Allah had helped you at Badr when you were a contemptible little force, then fear Allah, thus may ye show your gratitude. And I think, because this is the family of Imran, I think that's referring to the family of Imran, since it didn't really say that in the text, but that's just what it says, like at the top of the page, the family of Imran. So I think that might be like another sign that I was saying, but I don't really know how well documented that is and what it's really talking about. And I really don't have much more to talk about. Like I wasn't lying when I was saying it was mostly just saying, oh, those who reject Allah shall do this, must fear the fire. It was mostly all that in this chapter, just saying the same thing over and over. But I know that these first few are a lot of rules and consequences, so I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next. Alright, and I guess now some questions that I have, just generally, since I didn't really get much from these readings. One is the Torah all part of the Quran, or does Islam only choose bits and pieces of it that they believe in? Not really sure, since it believes in stories like David and Goliath. I don't know about like creation of the universe. I feel like it refers to the Torah for that. But is there an answer for like what bits and pieces of the Torah are believed in the Quran, or is it a bit vague and up to interpretation? That's where like, some disagreements come from. Maybe another like general question is Allah a good person / being? Like, from what we know about him, like, do you think that he would be a good person, or do you think that he is? Because I feel like overall he's a net negative. I mean, I'm from like a utilitarian point of view, like the overall greater good of people. I feel like it's a net negative. He's sending a lot more people into hell than he is heaven, and assuming like the bad of this one is as good as the equal of this one. And it's terrible and infinitely terrible, since those people are there forever. And I think it's pretty unfair. They say that he's the most merciful, like most fair, but I don't think that he is. I'd also read in like this chapter that he planned these things. Like it all goes to his plan. I feel like that's kind of evil. Like imagine this scenario. Grandma Susan grows up in a Christian household out in the country, maybe hears about Islam like 5 times, but just through passing, and never had like a chance to like research into it. I mean, has a chance to, but like there's no reason to. No reason why, let's say like she's a Christian, no reason to stray from that. And she's just the perfect person, gets cookies for her neighbors all the time, never committed a sin in her life, always like the nicest person to everybody. And by Allah's viewpoint, she should rot in hell, be in the fire. Does that, from like a normal person, obviously like we know that like that shouldn't be the case, but from Allah's point of view, she should. And I feel like that's quite evil. And it's all his doing. I don't know if he gets enjoyment out of doing that. Maybe it doesn't really matter, since we should just follow by his rules, and it doesn't matter what I believe, really. But just from that point of view, does that make any sense? Maybe it does, and it's okay that Allah isn't like a good person from our point of views, or good being, but maybe some input on that. Maybe I interpreted things wrong. I'm sure I did. It's my first time reading it, but any help, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you tomorrow, or next day maybe.